Last year, Rabbi Feldman came out to the North Shore for a shiva. It was at the home of Yeshua Israel. Lost his father, and he came and he said a few words. And one of the things he said were very apt. He said, "Why do we say Kaddish after someone who passes away? We know that if you read the Kaddish, it doesn't say anything about death. So why do we say Kaddish?" So he explained that when a neshama, when a person is alive, he is Mekadosh Shem Shemayim. He sanctifies Hashem's name. By the mitzvahs he does, by the way he conducts himself, he sanctifies Hashem's name. When a person passes away, then that sanctification of Hashem's name is missing. It's lacking. It's no longer existing. And therefore, in order that there shouldn't be that lack, in order for there not to be anything missing, the son then goes up and says, he continues the sanctification of Hashem's name. That continues on even afterwards. Sometimes when someone says something, he's kind of speaking about himself. Obviously, every yid is Mekadosh Shem Shemayim. The very fact that a neshama lives in this world, it is already a Kiddush Hashem. However, there's some people who it is extremely obvious in. And of course, this was Rabbi Feldman, that his whole being was a Kiddush Hashem. His very manner, his characteristics, the way he conducted himself, the way he interacted with people, was a Kiddush Hashem. That's indeed what he was. And in his case, continues to be by all the people whose lives he touched. And in every area of life. I mean, first and foremost, we see the Torah and Tefillah, learning and davening that he was totally involved in, and was his life. I would imagine it would have been mentioned that he told the nurses in the last couple of days, when he was a little agitated, he said, I need to daven and learn. I need to daven and learn. That was his life, and if it was difficult, he was lacking who he was. I need to daven and learn. And for him, the davening and learning was one. You know, the learning dimension itself, we had him in our home a number of times. He was there for Shabbos. Kids would wake up 2 o'clock in the morning and see him sleeping over a sefer. That's priceless. That memory that children could have of seeing 2 o'clock in the morning that doesn't go to bed. Bed is sleeping over a sefer. That was true of my wife, who stayed in their home in Baltimore many years ago, who actually never saw him go to sleep. It was always over a sefer. And my children, that was then when he was young, and then when he was older as well. In the last years, this last year, always over a sefer. And today, of course, is Chaf Kislev. It's still the continuation of the Yom Tov Yutes Chaf Kislev. You know, many of us take a part of Tanya, part of Chassidus that becomes our motto, whether it be Dira B'Tachtenim, you know, making a dwelling place for Hashem in this world, learning, and so on. He was the totality of Tanya. He was a walking Tanya. He worked on himself. He developed Ava and Yira. He davened Barichas. What Chassidus is meant to be about, not what you learn, but what it teaches you, was who he was. We had the good fortune that a few members of our community had an opportunity of coming and learning with him every Friday morning. And what they came out with, the inspiration, the high, what they mentioned to me, we'd come in a Friday morning, it'd lift us to a different world, and we'd be that way till after Shabbos. That's how long the effect and the impact, because he wasn't teaching Haskalah, he wasn't teaching concepts. He was teaching life. And he taught what he lived. You know, we sometimes philosophize. We give nice explanations and ideas. Chassidus is reich. It's rich with phenomenal concepts. But for him, it wasn't concepts. It was avodah, what we call. It was how you serve Hashem. It was you. And when a question was asked, he wouldn't answer the question in a philosophical way, but he actually touched to what the person had to hear for their life. And when a question was asked many times and they weren't, and they asked it in a certain way, sometimes people ask a question, they mean something else. And for many of us, we hear what we're asked. We don't hear the deeper concept behind it. But he would answer that what wasn't verbalized was answered as well. He was able to touch straight at the core. And this done in a chassidish way. What do I mean in a chassidish way? With a joy, with a light, with a lightness, not heavy. And I was sitting and learning with them. One of them tells me, and he talking about a serious idea, and they're very serious, and looks in their eyes, and he starts laughing. He says, "Don't be so serious. You have to be besimcha." Just as my wife remembers always saying, you have to be besimcha, you have to be happy. Always walking around with happiness. As a matter of fact, he fell. Not long ago he fell. He was learning with them and he fell on the floor. And they were scared. An 88-year-old man falls on the floor. It's not a joke. And he gets up and he says, "You should be laughing." I said, I said, "What? You should be laughing. You have to trick the Satan. You fall, you laugh. You trick the Satan."